All right, hey guys, Sam here back with you. It's Thursday the 21st, and we're going to finish up here with a look at the dollar yen. Thursdays, it's traditional assets. And we poll members here, and this is what you guys chose. So here's the daily. Now this is a difficult count, right? I think there's really open to interpretation here. Now this part here is very clear, so we get this one. That's what's from. Oh, October 11, 2000, wait, is that 11? Yeah, 2011 to our pivot up period of 15. So we've got a very clear impulse, all the subdivision in the face. It's just gorgeous, right? So hard to dispute that one, right? Now, this correction has gotten to be very complicated here. I think you make a decent case here for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, of course, with the completed impulse, we're looking for a retrace to the 50, and we get it. But boy, the subdivision is just bizarre here. So if that's our A and this is our B, well, where's the C, right? So this has gotten into so much complexity here. Are we going down here? Are we going this low? Maybe down here? It doesn't look like it's. If we're going to stay with this set of median lines, maybe that's got some more time to take to get fully cooked. Now, there is a count that would allow us to be finishing here. See, this part is a bit challenging here because it's very difficult to get 5 out of it. So if this is going to be a completed impulse, as it would be in this case, and I've got all the subdivision here, there's a temptation to want to go, because you can see the subdivision here could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it doesn't work. So if you're trading, so I think you'd have to look here and go, well, that looks like a 1, 2. You'd have to take it, I didn't want to measure it. This looks like a 4, so you'd have to come down to your 3 this way. So that would have to be the 5 down in the 3. Let's get that down to a smaller degree, and we'll get over in white so we can see it a little better. If that's 1, 2, and I must say I really am I'm not at ease with that 1 because it's just a clear 3. So how do we? Now, granted, I am on a daily, but I can get the clear subdivision here. Let's just go check it here because this could influence the count. So, if this is the 2 here and this is the 1, and if that's our 2, well, we're certainly long enough to get the 3 here, and then this sideways action is more characteristic of a 4. And then you can see as I look at it here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we overlap. So we get a diagonal in the 5th of the 3rd. Oh, shit. The 5th of the 3rd here. Let's change that color here so you can see it a little better. It'll go green here. So in this 5 down, much as I do not like that 1, well, you're going to have to get down to something much smaller time frame to get that to come clear here. So you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I've got an A, B, and then a big C to give me the B here. This is 2618 here from the 1 it's a little bit of a push there. It's just process of elimination. So you might have been thinking A, B, C, you might be down here, but with the extension that we get here working backwards, it's very hard to get to anything other than this as a completed impulse here. So the 4, assuming the 4 is correctly identified. Oh, shit, there's a couple of different ways you could read this. You got 5 here. That's, can you get the ABC here? This being the 1, I don't think you can make a case for this to be some sort of a 3, 4. The symmetry would just be way off. So I think you've got to go with what seems most likely here in terms of that subdivision. So with that impulse being done, we'd have to go into so this would be a 3, 3, 5. So because you can see the ABC here, you have to go ABC, then you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So you'd have to work this as an A, B. Now here's where it gets very tricky here. And again, I'm out here on the daily where usually you get a little more clarity here. I think we've got to go into a combination here. So there's my A. I got a 3-wave B. I come down for the C. I think I get a completed ABC here. That gives me a W, ABC into an X. Now here, yet again, I get a completed impulse that goes right to the median. Now I've got a shift modification here, so we're up and pardon me. In this case, we're down 50% for the median line. You can see how we tag it to the tick here. So I like this geometry here. Now we've had a little throw over here, but you can see the upper parallel here is holding the move here. So I like this count. So I think the WX, pardon me, it would be ABC into a W, ABC into an X. Now I've got a completed impulse. That's got to be my A. Per this relationship here, I can get an ABC into a B here. We come right back into this prior resistance. And then coming down, you know, we had that crazy wick. So it's not unlike this. If you can see it here, it's not unlike, I can't scrunch it anymore. But, oh, there we go. So can I get it all in one screen? There we go. So this ABC like this, that we, trading view. Okay, so this little ABC looks a lot like this ABC. We don't get clear subdivision. I got just an ABC. Now it doesn't look like you'd want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 is way too big. So it looks like something finished down here. So I can get this completing down here as an A. Trading view. Okay, A. God damn it. Come here. Okay, I'll get it. All right, A, B, C. That looks like there's nothing. It's very hard to get to be very confident in any count here. This could be counted multiple ways, but I think there's a reasonable case that we've come down here. We've done a double bottom here. Nice big reaction off of that. Now that will look more extreme. Of course, coming out to that's the advantage of coming to the daily. Now we've got these prior wicks over here, prior resistance seems to be we've come right back into this area of support. So we've come down in here. I'm just fine tuning it a little more here. So we're in between these two. So it would be certainly an unusual second, but so since we've hit the 50 here, well, from this point, we'd certainly be looking, if we've got a good low here, well, we'd be looking for something like that. All right, so that likely would just be on the larger degree. If this is just a one wave and we've got this unusual ABC into a 2 here, well, we're looking for an impulse to come off of that. So can this be our impulse? Well, let's go down to the 2 hour here and take a look at that. Well, so you have this, open it up here. So this is always a little bit problematic here where we have just this pump wick where sell-off wick, maybe I say it that way, where you just come down and are immediately rejected. So you have this volatile spike, so you can't ignore it. But I'm a little suspect of it. So the reason I say that here, I'm going to use the secondary pivot here and pull it up here. Say, well, let's see. Let's check it here. So there's the first one here. So if we come, so if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe you could get that. So you'd have, boy, it's just really shallow here, but it's technical. So here from the 23 to the algo target, it's really a crapshoot here. So best case, maybe we could trade it this way, that this is 1, 2, 3, 4 going in and up for the 5. So we've already, well, have we? Shit, maybe we have not. Nope, we have not. So looking for, so let's play from the 2 to the 3. See, how do we look here? All right, so there's your 50. So it works as, you know, boy, so you'd have to go, you'd have to trade the first one. So extension in the 1, 2, boy, that's really a push here. 3, 4, 5. So maybe you'd have to do it this way. We've done sub micro. Let's get, I'll do it in white. So I with the pump wick here, I like it better with this as the start of the 1, but even that 5 is, it's tough to get a 5 in here, and I'm down to a 2 hour. But just to try and maintain some structure here, no, so it would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got an impulse in the 3rd. You don't overlap the 1, so you've got a contender here. God damn it, Trading View, come on. So you've got a contender here for the 1. We don't overlap on the 4, not much of a 5. So what are you pulling for from the 2? Well, you know, no matter what you use. I suppose if you use this here, it's going to be better. It's still going to be relatively shallow. Get on there. Relatively shallow. Maybe you could talk yourself into a front run on the 50. It's, you know, it did get right to target here, and we got actually the second target here. So maybe we're going in. This is our 3 here. It looks better as a diagonal because it looks more like the shape is. Well, I can get a 1, 2. That 3 is not going to be long enough. I can understand why people want to look at this. This is not an easy count to get the subdivision on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like. Oh, let's check that distance. So if this is a candidate for the 3rd, we'd have to put the 4 here, so you wouldn't be longer. So this is possible. God damn it. Trading View bugging me today. Okay, all right, there we go. All of the worst features of it showing themselves today. Hopefully someday they'll get those fixed. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't hate it. All right, so so we check, just again, it's always a process of what would it make sense? Is it technical? Well, you know, you're not to the tick here, but you're right where you're looking for it, between the 23 and the 38 for the 4. Not terrible. So so potentially now we've completed. Now where are you going to pull from? Well, of course, algo doesn't care. It's just going to use the lowest pivot down here. So if we're done here, which is not unreasonable to think we're done with this unusually shaped 5 here, and it's an impulse to boot, and I can get the 1, 2, 3, 4 again, a very skinny 5, just like we've got a very skinny 5 here, and not much of a 5 here. So what are we doing? Well, if we're going to use this as our 50, we're looking for a much deeper retracement. So this doesn't look like it could be done, but you could probably make the case here. We've got an A, B, and C going in. So if we zoom in a little more on this correction as it's unfolding here, A, B, 1, 2, 3. So you might be able to make this case here. You've got a 1, 2, 3 is in, 4 going in. Now we come down for the 5. Well, if that's going to be the C, if this is our 2 here, we don't know if the 4 is done, but well, even still here, let's see if I go down to a 30-minute, if we can get any subdivision here. Yeah, you can. Okay, so there it is. So there's your ABC. So I got a little ABC into the 4. I'm going to put my 1 down here, ABC into the 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. So I'm all good here in terms of subdivision. Let's get this. Oh, God damn it. It's Trading View. I swear to God they got to fix that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like there's one more push down here to complete this 5, which would get us here. Okay, I'm going slowly. All right, there it is. All right, so now let's put that back together. Where does that put us? Well, it's just first thing, I can't resist. I got to put some median lines on here. Now that's going to be my shift modifier. Let's go back to original. So here's the, so sorry. I'm having problems today. Allergies are really bad here. Okay, so 1, 2, I got an ABC there. ABC gets me here. Let's go down a degree. So that, I like that better. So there's the A, there's the B. Now one more push down for the C, but look where I am. I'm between the 23 and the 38. So if I go back to, let's go back to the 2 hour, would that make sense to have finished here? Well, you know, it would be a very, very skinny second if this is a 1. So on that next degree higher, if we're going 1, we're looking for the 2 down here, 3, 4, and 5, and let's get that degree up. We'll go minuet so you can see it. Okay, so if this is going to finish down here, looks like that might be just the start of it. So, you know, if it's an ABC and it completes here, it doesn't look like it's done, so you'd have to go then look for complexity here. So perhaps here you're going to get a WXY that would get us down here, because if we finish here at this algo target and the median line right here, which no reason to assume otherwise, the corner pocket's already been realized with that move that we just looked at. So you've already got your corner pocket here, right there, right? So I'm showing I don't know of a chart I've ever not shown that, right? It's always there. So there's your corner pocket, right? 80% probability. It's tagged, and look at the reaction, right? So I promise you guys, it's not random. Okay, so here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to finish down here. We can't, well, I shouldn't say that. it would be unlikely that we'd have completed the full correction if right now we don't know that we're coming down there. So that makes me think we would not be finished there. So I'd be at that point looking for the full retrace. Now again, I don't have this, but if I'm just going to use that as a target, and we can see that, that's why I always encourage you to do that. The prior resistance here potentially offers some support. This is prior wave 1. So if that were to hold, right, this would actually have you rethinking this as to whether or not the 5 is in. So let's consider that. So here would be the alternate if that's going to hold. So this may make more sense. So here's the problem. Let's try and put it together. So can I get an impulse out of that? So could you do it? Let's check. All right, so you might be able to. So if this would have to be 1, that would have to be 2. Do we get there? Oh, son of a bitch. Look how close that is. So you could do it as long as 3, but it looks like 5 would be longer here. So if this is, let's try and put it together. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, can that work? Let's go subminuet. Okay, so if that's 1, 2, well, this is not as long as 1, so we got to check 3 to 5. Doesn't look like it's going to work because 5 looks like at first glance, and I could be wrong. So if that's the 4, yep, doesn't work. So even if you use no, it doesn't work. So you can't. So it can't be that. I'm just looking here. So no, this would have to be the 1. So you can't. So it doesn't work. So this cannot be the 3. Which kind of creates a problem. All right, so this has to, we'd have to be continuing to think. Oh shit! So we'd have to think this way. You'd have to stay with the idea that we've got 3, 4, and 5 is in. So we'd have to go A, B, C into the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, the very skinny 5. So we'd have to trade this as a complete, in this case, an impulse with the extension in the 1. So if this comes down here, you'd have more confidence in this count if we do break this. Only has to break it by a tick. So if, right, again, if this is going to come down here, we don't know that it is. I'd like to see that break by just a tiny bit. Now I don't have a pivot here, so I'd be looking here. Well, we just have the 4, right, which sets up the algo target here. You'd want to see that overlap just so you could get more comfortable with the idea that you had the analysis correctly identified. Let's think here a second. Could we? Here's an alternate. Maybe we could do it this way. I'm doing this on the fly. So if this is 1, so this could be. Yeah, let me go back a sec. All right. Okay. So on the fly, what's the alternate? If this is going to be a 1, how do we get there? And is the alternate that the 1's not done yet? Well, this is done. All right, so this is a 1 at some degree. So this is a 1. This likely are 2. If this is going to be 3, this could work here. So if we overlap the 1, then we'd have to do it that way. So we could get a bigger 1 out of this. So that may actually play. So how are you going to know? Well, you're not. First thing that has to happen. Oh, let's put that in blue. First thing that has to happen is we have to overlap this pivot here, so that then we could look at this as a ABC. Now let's go. We'll get that up a degree here, and we'll go to yellow. Okay, so if this is 1, 2, A, I guess you'd have to do it over here. A, B, C of B, and then we're gonna go. Shit. All right, so it looks, man, it's frustrating. All right, so it looks more like an impulse. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you have a 5 there? I'm on a 2-hour. Yeah, probably. So I kind of back out of that because you can't, it just doesn't work, right? So if you're going A, B, C, it looks more like an impulse, right? So I kind of disqualify on the fly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think, yeah, we end up back where we started with. I don't think you can make that work. I was trying to find a way so that if we hold here, and we may end up back here doing this, If we hold there, what's the alternate that's going to leave us? What does that leave us? So let's get you back over here, and that color's kind of weird. That's what I want. Okay, so if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That will work. So from that low, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we complete something at some degree up here, and now the question is, where's the 2 going to be? Where are we going to land with that? Let's get that degree up. We'll go minuet. Let's go. We'll go green. That's fine. Okay, so 1. Are we doing a 2 or are we doing a 4? Well, we can't really get any confidence in the count until we break this pivot. Then we can start to look more seriously at this as a diagonal. So you'd assume that this was complete here as a diagonal. So we'd have to go A, B, C, A, B, C. Boy, it's full of problems. So I understand why members want to get a look at this. You just, until we see what happens here, if this is going to hold, you got to rethink. So how are we going to know? So okay, so right off the bat, my suggestion would be no trade until we get more clarity here, till we see if this is going to come down here and finish this 5. If it's going to come down and do that, right? Which we don't know that it will, but it's certainly teed up for it. Do we break? If it breaks, then we can lean into the idea that we have a potential diagonal. Of course, that assumes nothing says it couldn't just keep going down. But if we're going to pivot here and we hold, then this is going to have to be redone, and really is going to take some precise measurement here. And the problem being that this final push here looks like an impulse. So one A, B, C could be W, X, Y. We're going deeper. We need to get, this is the pivot that will be the tell. Until then, I wouldn't be a buyer here, even though we've got this little technical confluence here. I wouldn't be a buyer. If anything, if I were insisting on a trade here, I'd be looking at the short for the 4 to the 5, because I've got a clear spot where I can bail. So since I'm here pulling 2 through the 3, yeah, that, you don't, let's go 30 minute. You don't, yeah, you've got, so there's that little ABC. So if I were going to put a trade on here, I'm not sure that I won't, but so this down to this target, if we get the target, we break the pivot, we've got our diagonal. If we hold and we get denied the target by the structure here and we hold it, then we got to rethink it. Then it looks like likely this count is off, because we'd have an impulse here, and we now don't want it's not want, it's if we don't overlap, then we can't count it as a diagonal. So it's a tough one here. So I would be, if anything, I'd be taking the short here. Yeah, so what do we get on the risk reward there? So if you were sold a little retrace, can you get 3 to 1 here? I'd be using that target. Then I wouldn't give it. So so maybe use the 50 here. That would be a tighter stop here. You want to give that a little cushion, maybe a split the difference, so you can get at least something that would be worth the risk. Is that ideal? No, it's not, right? So even if you just it's not worth it. So either I'd wait on the trade, or you got to put the stop just over the 50, knowing full well that this could easily just, we could have a little kicker back up here, get to the 50, get to the parallel, get to the 618. Note, if we hold the 618 and then come down, we would not violate this 1, and we'd have to call this a 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be very deep and unusual for an impulse. If we're going to come up here, but remember, algo doesn't give a shit. They're just going to defend there. And if they get that target, well, you've got an impulse. So what would we be finishing there? Is it a 2 or a 4? Right? So I just looked at trying to get this as an impulse, and we run into some problems. It doesn't quite work as a diagonal because of the impulse in the 5th. So you got kind of a conundrum here. So bottom line is, we need more information to build any kind of a high confidence trade. Is this tradable? Yeah, that's tradable. Right? It's just really, you're just making a straight algo play, but it does synchronize with what you see here. So if you take it, again, I wouldn't put on a trade that offered me anything less than 3 to 1. for the risk, to reward me for taking that risk. If I'm just over the 65 here, just over the pivot here, I'm at 2.65 to 1, and that's assuming we only make it to this structure, which could easily hold it. That would not be uncommon for that to be a front run on the target. So this trade, not good enough. If I tighten it down in terms of the risk reward, there's not enough compensation. So either you got to take it here and use a tighter stop so you can get 5 to 1, or you don't take the trade and you just wait and see what happens here. And if we come down here, then we can get a little bit better idea as to what happens based on whether we overlap or not. So in my view, unless you're saddling up for that short, I would not be putting on a trade here until I get more information so I can build more confidence based on what happens down here at this structure. There's a long-winded way to get there, but that's ultimately, I think, the only, well, not the only, but that's how I would approach that, because you just can't get any confidence on one side or the other. There's nothing here other than this path down looks solid. If we get that, then we wait and see. Do we overlap or not? All right, guys, that's all.